Hi folks, 21st Century Caveman here. Hope everybody's well. Got a day off work today, so I thought I'd come and take a little trip out into the woods. Nice to get away from the city, nice to get out of the house. So I've come to one of the woods I come to quite frequently, and I thought I'd check out an area which I've seen a few times, and there's evidence that other people have been camping. So me and my lad have checked it out several times, over a period of a couple of years, and the site always remains the same. So it's clear that nobody's actually using this on a regular basis. So I thought I'd come and check it out today, and just sort of set up camp here. I'm not sleeping out overnight. I'm just going to be here for a good few hours. I'll be putting some food on. I'll have a fire if I can get one started. Everything's very wet out here. I'll be having a fire, making some bannock. I've also got some other food with me, and just generally chilling out really. So anyway, I'll show you around the site and see what you think. Now everything is very, very slippery here, so I've got to be a bit careful because most of this wood is on the side of a hill. This is an area which is obviously has been somebody's camp at some point in the past, and as I say, we deliberately haven't come here because we didn't want to, although it's a public area, we didn't want to use somebody else's campsite or disrespect it in any way, or indeed their efforts. But as I say, this has been the same now for a good couple of years, so I thought to myself, if I come here today and nothing's changed, then I will use it. So yeah, nice and flat. I'm going to clear it up a little bit and start gathering some wood. We'll have a nice fire, get a nice bed of coals, and get some food on. So I'm going to start that process now, and I shall get back to you in a bit. But before I do that, actually, let's just take a slightly closer look at this area. As I say, it's nice and flat. Obviously somebody has made an effort to try and provide, a degree of concealment. So as I say, it just needs clearing up a little bit, but it's actually quite nice. Just take a shot from a slightly different perspective. Right, okay, so that's the campsite for today. I'm going to start clearing it up and I'll get back to you in a bit. Cheers. Right, okay, so I've just had a bit of a tidy up just to make sure there are no trip hazards, just to clear up any, bits of timber on the floor, that sort of thing, just to make sure there aren't any holes, anything I can injure myself, just to make sure there isn't a pit there what someone's been dumping in, you never know. So now I'm just going to, it looks as if it's going to rain, so I need to wang up a tarp pretty sharpish, and so I should do that now, and then decide where I'm going to have my fire. Okay, back to you in a mo. putting the ridgeline up, it occurred to me, or it became clear, that the tarp was actually a little bit wider than the two trees I've got here. It's actually a DD 3 metre by 3 metre tarp, so what I've done, I've just brought it round the tree look and touched it with a carabiner just to try and tighten up a bit. So what I'm going to do now, just tie it down at the back and bring the front forward like that, so if it does rain, then it will keep the rain off me. Right, okay, so I've just sorted out the tarp now, so I've got some cover in case it rains, and that's looking increasingly likely. I've just secured it to some obvious anchor points over there. Okay, the ridge line is going underneath the tarp, and over here I've just put a couple of stakes, just staked it down in a couple of corners. Okay, and likewise over here. Okay, so that looks pretty okay, should do the trick. All I need to do now is to start collecting some firewood so we can get some coals and a fire and get some food on. Right, so I've decided to have my fire down here, and I've got my little fire kit with me, pretty basic, but hopefully it'll be more than adequate to do the job. I'm going to use some homemade tinder, my favourite, cotton ball soaked in petroleum jelly. You know, this is an absolutely guaranteed way of getting a fire. Well, at least you're guaranteed that it will burn. Just need to pull the cotton wool balls apart, just to get as much surface area as possible. So these will definitely light up, and hopefully the twigs, the kindling, which I've actually got, will also light up. Hopefully it's not too damp. We'll soon find out anyway. So let's just put that there. There we go, lovely jubbly. Right, let's see how we get on with these. Obviously different people have different ways of setting up a fire. You know, I've practiced quite a few. The easiest for me is just to make sure I have a raised bit, you know, at one side, and just to set it up like this. The other one I do quite regularly is a wigwam teppy effect. That always works very well. So the aim is then to get a nice bed of coals so we can do a bit of cooking. Let's get the small bits on first. Chuck them on there, let them burn down nicely. Put that at the back there, bring that up. In fact, while we've got a fire going here, I just thought I'd mention actually, it's about using a Firesteel. Now obviously everybody has their own different way of doing things, and that's absolutely fine. But you commonly see people using huge great big knives to light Firesteels with and all that sort of thing. I mean, you know, and it works, no doubt about it. But the thing is, of course, with Firesteels, every time you strike a knife across the back, or indeed anything, you're actually taking off a bit of the metal, okay? And you know, if you've got a decent Firesteel, it only requires a little tiny strike with a 90-degree edge and you can actually get flame straight away if you've got decent timber. I just want to show you what I mean. And also, of course, you know, the less material you actually take off your Firesteel, the more you've got left for next time. Now obviously I'll be breaking what I can by hand, but there will be certain things certain limbs which are so big I can't actually break, so therefore I'll use my backhoe Laplander. Obviously I won't be using it unless I have to because it will save the blade. Okay, when I'm out and about in the woods, I always carry a backhoe Laplander folding saw, and I only ever use it when I need to use it. I'll always try and break wood manually, either by, I don't know, stamping on it or breaking it between trees if I can to save the blade, because there might come a point where I need my saw and it might either be too blunt or it might break because of repeated unnecessary use. So I only use it when I need to. So I've got a big bit of wood here. I'm going to try and break between this tree behind me. If I can't, I'll just cut it down to size using the backhoe. That bit broke off nicely, but this bit is obviously too thick to be able to break unless it's absolutely rotten, so I'm going to saw this down. Lessons learned. Fold it up first. Okay. So we've got some more nice slice logs there for the fire. Right, okay folks, so the fire's going nicely now. You know, getting a nice bed of coals. It's nice and relaxing out here, it's lovely. But I'm dying for a brew, so I'm just going to stick the kettle on the fire and get a nice cup of tea going. These stainless steel containers which I use are made by Glog, and absolutely fantastic, high quality, very reasonably priced. made of top grade stainless steel, and they have an extra wide top, and you know, without miles and miles of threads, it just makes it nice and easy to access. So let's just wang that on the fire then, and get a brew going. I'm absolutely gagging for a nice cup of tea, I really am. So let's just chuck that on there, look. There we go, try and get that as level as we can. That looks as if that should be fine. This, crikey, there's some heat coming off those coals, which is what we want. There we go, look. So it's quite level, leave it like that. Had a bit of a bump, probably where I slipped down a bit earlier actually, because we're on a hill. I slipped onto my backside and my back, and it looks as if the kettle's been dented in the process, but that's no big deal. But anyway, the brew's on there. But anyway, there we go. Nice bed of coals, some more logs by the wayside. It's surprising actually how quickly you get through these. So you know, it's always important to have a decent amount of you know, sort of like logs and bits of wood nearby, already cut, already sorted, because they do burn out very, very quickly, and before you know it, you know, you're traipsing out again to get some more. So that should last me for as long as I need it this afternoon. So yeah, I'm going to get a cup of tea then, and just sort of like chill for a few minutes, wait for the coals to come up a bit more, and then I'm going to put some bannock on, have a bite to eat. So I haven't had anything since breakfast this morning. It's around about sort of like 2, 2:30. I'm getting quite hungry now, and I need to get something down my throat. Okay. So while I'm waiting for the kettle to boil up so I can get a brew on, I just thought I'd take you through some of the kit I've got with me today. So as I say, I'm only out for, you know, part of the day, not sleeping over, so I only need to bring minimal kit with me really, but obviously necessary things, you know, just in case. We've got the tarp, as you can see. Hasn't rained, which has been nice. In fact, it's been quite mild today. It's been really nice. I've got the Mora Bushcraft Force around my neck. This is my favourite knife. I'm not a knife collector. Not one of these people who has to have, you know, sort of 30,000 knives in my cupboard. But this is a favourite of mine. Reason being that it's sturdy, nice shape to the blade, nice shape to the handle, very, very comfortable, holds an edge really well, and it's also very easy to sharpen up, you know, when you're out and about in the woods, etc. The spine isn't 90 degrees, so you can't strike a ferro rod with that, but I'm not bothered about that. I'd rather just use a little striker because it takes less off the actual ferro rod, and therefore the ferro rod will last longer, as we discussed before. But I like this, it's really, really nice. Definitely my favourite knife, quite heavy duty, I love it. Okay, a lot of people criticise the sheath, the plastic sheath, but do you know what? For what I pay for the knife, there's nothing wrong with the sheath. You know, it sort of goes round like that, you know, so if you kneel down, you know, the sheath doesn't sort of stick in your side or become uncomfortable. I think this is very, very good. I've got a Ranger band round there. Okay, as with my other Mora knife, have a little light, if it works. Okay, you know, just quite useful. And obviously the Ranger bands also make brilliant fire lighting material should the need arise. So what else have we got then? Let's have a look. So let's just put the knife down there, shall we? So today in my rucksack I have the Mora, if I can get the thing to sit still. Okay. Yeah, I have my Leatherman Charge AL. I really like this, with an extra Firesteel. I can get this thing out using one hand. Bear with me. So yeah, Leatherman Charge AL, extra Firesteel, and a pair of tweezers. Always carry an extra pair of tweezers with me, other than the one in my first aid kit, because I'm always getting splinters and stuff like that. Little fire kit, nothing magical, just with a few essential pieces. Bic lighter, should the need arise. Some cotton wool balls, soaked in petroleum jelly. Bit of a bicycle inner tube there, brilliant fire lighter as we've already discussed. Made the Ranger bands out of that material. And like My Fire Firesteel, in my opinion, one of the best out there. So easy to get sparks off that. And the actual striker, incidentally, is also a little whistle. There we go, look, can you see it? Just there. In fact, it's not working because I've got some cord. Let's have a look. So there we go, that's rather useful. So that goes in there. As far as fire lighting is concerned, that's all I need. Okay, we all know I carry a first aid kit with me wherever I go. Got some extra cordage in there, a couple little carabiners. Okay, what else have we got? We now always carry a backhoe Laplander with me. Folding saw, excellent value for money, brilliant piece of kit. Let's see if we've got anything else in here. Little folding shovel in case I get caught short, so I can dig myself a little hole. What have we got here? Yeah, some Carex hand gel. Okay. Nothing else in there. Just some extra water. Got some bannock mix, some pasta. Little container here, look, just in case I find anything worth keeping. Windshield. Over here, I have some milk for my cuppa, some oil for my cooking, and some pine resin to help with fire lighting if the need arises. And that, I think, is about it, unless I've got something down here. Oh, here we go. Oh yeah, this is a DC4 sharpening stone, and if I get time in a bit, I'm going to actually use that to sharpen up my Mora, because it could certainly do with tweaking. So that's what I've got with me today. Other than a head torch, which is in my in the lid of the rucksack. So the petrol's in here. Let's get that out. I can see my kettle boiling now, so there we go. Got that with me. El petrol, love it. Okay, got that there, and some extra batteries in a safe container. And as part of my everyday carry, I always have a nice little Phoenix torch with me. Anyway, the kettle's boiling. I don't want to lose that water, so I'm going to just get a brew on. Cheers. It was beautiful. Love it. Yorkshire tea, my favourite. Lovely just to get away from just to get away from people, get away from the city. Bit of quiet time, bit of me time. Love it. Anyway, so we're going to have to start thinking about knocking up some bannock in a minute. Nice bed of coals there. That's looking really good. And yeah, I'm hungry. I need something to eat. So we'll see. I haven't made bannock for about 12-18 months now. So I managed to find the recipe, which I made at the last one, which is very tasty. I've just added 1 or 2 bits to it. I've just added some cheese and some herbs, so it's actually going to be a cheese and herb bannock, which I'm going to have with some pasta, tomato pasta. You know, nothing special. It's just one of these things you chuck hot water in, leave it for a few minutes, mix it up, and hey presto, you've got yourself a hot meal. That'll do me. But I'm looking forward to making some bannock and see how that comes out. Yeah, it's going to be good. I've never ever, having experienced these insulated mugs, I'd never go back to having an enamel mug again. They just go too cold too quickly. These are just absolutely fantastic. They just keep, you know, a hot drink hot for absolutely ages, and you know, those little enamel mugs, you know, they're very sturdy, but they just don't compare. So I need to get another one of these actually. Right, so better start thinking about knocking up some bannock now then. It can take, you know, it can take a while to make. Depends on the environment you're in. If it's very cold and very wet, depends on the wind, you know, what the coals are like on your fire. But anyway, we're going to knock up a bit and put it on there and see if we can get ourselves a nice little meal. Okay. Right guys, so I've got my bannock mix. I've double bagged it in sealable bags, just in case the bag split and I didn't want to trash in my rucksack. You know, I've only tried ever one recipe, which I got from, I can't remember where I got it actually, it might have been Ray Mears or something like that. But anyway, it's a recipe which I like, it's very nice. As I say, I've actually, you know, just added a couple of bits to it, some cheese and some herbs. I don't know about you guys, but I find it really messy to make up, and in the past I've just used containers to mix it up in, but obviously if you have a container, rigid container, then it takes up extra space in your rucksack, so I thought I'd just put it in one of these bags here and you know, just sort of mix it up in the bag really with some water. So, need some water in there. Let's get some water out of the canteen. I've also got an egg with me as well, which I'm going to chuck in there in a moment, and but I'm just going to mix this up first. So let's put this down there, like so, and try not to spill it everywhere. Hopefully this bag hasn't got any holes in it. As you can see, this is just so easy to mix up this way. I suppose the only thing is just trying to get a decent consistency throughout, you know, just to make it taste as nice as possible. I can smell the herbs coming off this. It smells really nice actually. I'm being very hungry. I'm obviously eager to chuck it in the pan and get going. Certainly, I can see the advantages of doing it this way because there is just a lot less mess to deal with. Right, I think I'm going to need a bit more water now. It obviously doesn't need loads and loads, just needs enough to get it in a doughy sort of consistency. There we go, just lose water. Give it a good old mix, good old squeeze. See how we get on. Lovely job. There we go. Knife back in the sheath. Anyway, I'll come back to you in a minute to save a little bit of battery, okay? Right, okay, so just going to sort this fire out so I can put the frying pan on there, heat up some oil. Let's just move these to one side. There we go, just put them over there. Trouble is, if the wood's still burning, if there are flames, it will actually burn the it'll burn the bannock mix. I just want it to cook nice and gently. I don't want any flames licking around the side of the frying pan. If not, it will spoil it. Anyway, there we go. Look, that looks about right. Okay. So let's get a little frying pan on there, heat some oil up, and get some scranny on, shall we? I rave about these little bottles here. Look, you get them from Poundland, and you get about 4 for £1. Absolutely brilliant value. Just got to make sure you keep them clean, obviously. Now that does look suspiciously like a urine sample, but I can assure you there is actually oil in there. Now this is an unstick pan, so I don't need loads and loads of oil in there, just enough to help it on its way. Right, okay, so the oil is nice and hot now. So, by the way, this is a spatula. It's one of Tina's, a nick from the drawer. It's a bit too long actually, the handle was, so I got my jet sorter and cut the rest of the handle off. She doesn't know anything about it, but hey ho, you know, what you don't know doesn't hurt you. So, there's far too much oil in there. Let me just get rid of some of that. Okay, wait for that to go down, put that over there. Now I need to get some of this bannock in this frying pan. Right, I was going to cut a hole in it, but I'm just going to see if it works alright like this. It looks far too runny, to be honest, but hey ho. Haven't got any more mix in there, so just stick that there for a minute. Let's put that over there. Whoops, don't want to lose that. It's a precious commodity, that. So let's just, there we go, spread it out a little bit. There we go, look, beautiful. Now I'm not going to mess around with that anymore because I don't need to. I'm just going to leave that be. I don't really want those flames on there actually, so let's put that down there. See if I can just get them out of the way. So I'm going to start it off over here then, until those flames die down. Okay, so just going to leave it like that and see what happens. Right, okay, so I'm just coming back to this now. It's about sort of 5-10 minutes later, just to see how we're doing. Looks as if that's cooking all right. So that's going to take probably about half an hour actually, because also it needs to cook on both sides. I'm going to spin it over when the bottom's done enough, and I've also stuck a kettle on there so I can get myself another brew. Lovely. Right, okay, so the bannock's been on the coals now for about another 10-15 minutes. It's firmed up a bit. It looks as if it's cooked in the middle. Well, it could still do with another few minutes, but that looks a little bit like a cyst, but let's not stress ourselves too much about that. It might taste quite nice. But anyway, what I need to do, put the pasta on, boil up some water, get that on, so hopefully when I come back in 6-7 minutes time, that will be of a reasonable consistency, and we'll see what it tastes like. There we go, it should be about right. So now I'm going to do this on my on the little stove I've got, because the coals aren't hot enough to actually get the water boiling within a reasonable time period. So we've got a nice boil on there, look, as you can see. Sorry, I'm doing this one-handed, so let's chuck that in. Okay, give that a mix around and give it 6 or 7 minutes, and with any luck it should taste beautiful. Right, that's boiling a bit too much. Let's just whoops, let's just knock the temperature down this a bit. Let it simmer, that's probably the best thing. There we go, so we've gone with that. There we go. So let's leave that for a little bit and come back to you. Right, okay, so it's starting to get pretty cold now. It's about 5 o'clock. Food's virtually ready. I'm going to start just checking it over now, and I really need to get something down because I'm getting you know, very hungry and cold, and when I've had something to eat I'm going to start packing my gear up and making my way home. It's been very nice, but anyway, I can hear the pasta and the sauce bubbling in the background. I can hear an owl hooting, which is absolutely fantastic. I love stuff like that. But anyway, let's just check out the food situation. So, how are we doing over here then with the pasta? Yeah, that's thickening up nicely now. So that's good. That'll be ready. Oh, it's probably ready to eat now actually, but I'm just going to let it thicken up a little bit. I'm going to give it a couple more minutes, just let it sit there. Okay, no problem. Now let's go and check out the bread, shall we? Hope it hasn't burnt to a, hopefully it hasn't burnt to a crust. Let's check out what's happening over here. So yeah, it's definitely a little bit burnt on one side, but we'll when I turn it over we'll see what the other side's like. Hopefully it'll be alright. I still think that's going to taste absolutely lovely, but yeah, you know, it could be worse. Looks as if the cyst is looking a little bit more appetising now. Perhaps that's just because I'm quite cold and very hungry. But anyway, let's see if we can turn this over actually without tipping it in the fire. Let's have a look. Where's my where's the spatula gone? It's probably over here actually. Let's have a look. Let's have a look, see what's occurring, shall we? Right, let's try that side. So let's just flip it over. So try not to tip it in the fire. Whoa! Check out that bad boy. No, that ain't bad, is it? Look at that. I bet that's going to be lovely, delicious. So, I'll get back to you in a minute. Right, okay folks, there we go, there's my meal for tonight, and there's my luxury cup holder. So let's just see what this thing tastes like, shall we? I'm keen to try the bannock. See if we can do this with one hand. Hey up! Now, you know what to say about bannock, it's bad luck to cut it, you've got to break it. So let's see what this bad boy tastes like. Inside it looks okay, looks fine. Tastes nice, but a little bit doughy inside. Could do with a bit more time on the coals, but it tastes delicious. I can certainly taste the cheese and the herbs. Still warm and a very welcome little meal. Not going to waste that. So, lovely. This bannock is really nice actually. Very tasty. Next one I make, it will have less cheese in it. Same amount of herbs, but I'll leave it a little bit longer on the fire. I just think the coals ran out basically. There weren't enough coals on that. Well, here goes the cyst. Quite tasty. Certainly a very welcome meal. Makes a nice change and very, very filling. Not bad, not bad at all. Right, okay, so it's round about 6, ~6, pitch black now. It's been a nice day. I've cleared up all of my stuff, cleared up all of my rubbish, won't leave anything behind at all. The embers, the coals, have been completely doused with water and soaked through, covered over with very wet leaf litter. Okay, So I'll just show you now. So other than the actual structure, no one would actually be aware that was here today unless they saw me coming in or leaving. Right, okay, so that's where the fire was. Okay, that's pretty well concealed now. And this is the rest of the campsite. Okay, there's my gear. Okay, and the darkness of the wood. So anyway, I've got to try and navigate my way down this slope without breaking my neck. It's going to be quite slippy, but I'll do the best I can. There's the civilization look on the horizon. Okay. Okay, so thanks for watching.